Hi everybody. In a previous video we learned about average rate of change, and we learned that it means the same thing as slope. We went over how to find rate of change from a table. If I give you 2 points, if I give you a graph, if I give you a scenario, and we went over a problem that was not linear. So we had to use the two specific numbers that they gave us in order to find the rate of change correctly. So this video, we are going to discuss linear functions only. So slope is a rate of change. So if you need to go back and rewatch the previous video went over how to find slope from 2 points, a graph, and a table. This video is going to show you more with just linear functions, and more specifically the equation of a linear function. So I always like to draw Mr. Slope Guy, and Mr. Slope Guy kind of goes with rise over run. So if you're going up and over, your graph should look positive slope. If you're going down and over, your graph will have a negative slope. A vertical line has a slope that is undefined, and a horizontal line has a slope of 0. And so this little saying is what I use to help remember what the equation of a vertical line and what the equation of a horizontal line is going to look like. So the V stands for a vertical line. The H stands for a horizontal line. So if your line is vertical, the slope is undefined. And what that means, if you go to figure out rise over run, you have a rise, but you don't have a run because your line doesn't go to the left or to the right. So it would look like some number divided by 0 if you were going to try to set up a little rise over run triangle. If your line is horizontal, your slope is 0. So that O it doesn't stand for a word that starts with the letter O. That's like the number 0. So a horizontal has a 0 slope. And with the horizontal line, you have a run, but you do not have a rise. See how I'm not going up or down, I'm only going to the right or the left. So what that's going to look like is 0 divided by a number, which is 0. All right, and then the last bit of this is to tell you what the equation of the line will look like. So a vertical line has an equation that is x equals a number. So it could be x equals 5, it could be x equals -2, but that's the only thing in the equation is x equals and then a number. A horizontal line equation is y equals and then a number. Yeah, and old school, back in the day, this was the symbol that we used for replacing a number, right? Not just a hashtag. All right, so a linear function, your slope is constant. So that was said in the previous video as well. What that tells us is if we know that we're looking at a line, we can pick any 2 points that we want and we can find the slope and get the same answer as someone who picked a different pair of points. All right, so from an equation, you had a little pre-assessment and it looked like a lot of you remembered the basic setup for a linear function, which is y equals mx plus b. So in this equation, m is your slope. All right, just the m, just the number that's in front of x. So we don't include the letter x in our slope answer. Slope is a number. All right, it's a number. All right, and we're not going to worry about the other components of the line for right now. We're focusing on slope today. All right, so for this example, you have your line is y equals 2x minus 1, and so if the question says find the slope, your slope is 2, because that's the number in front of x. The next example, negative 1 over 3x plus 2. If the question says find your slope is negative 1 over 3. All right, and we could graph it on Desmos, and we will probably do that together when we meet live on Zoom. We can graph some of these in Desmos and do rise over run on the graph. I will go ahead and plug some numbers in and look at the table so that we can start to make the connection between the other ways of finding slope. So the easiest number to plug in for x is 0, so I'm going to plug in 0. So 2 times 0 minus 1 is negative 1. All right, if I plug in 1, 2 times 1 is 2, and 2 minus 1 is 1. So I can see that change. See how my y's, how do I get from negative 1 to positive 1? I have to add 2. Right? How do I get from 0 to 1? I have to add 1. And then the way that you write your slope, it's always the y pattern divided by the x pattern. So 2 divided by 1 is